First contact. The UES Sentinel hung in the darkness of deep space, its sleek hull reflecting distant starlight. Captain Eliza Chen stared at the main view screen. Her dark eyes narrowed as she studied the unfamiliar star patterns surrounding her vessel. The Sentinel was the pride of Earth's fleet, a next-generation warship equipped with experimental quantum fold technology that allowed it to cross vast distances in mere moments. It was humanity's most advanced achievement, and now it was far beyond the boundaries of mapped space. Status report, Chen commanded, her voice steady despite the tension that had gripped the bridge since they detected the distress signal 12 hours ago. Commander Jackson, her executive officer, looked up from his console. All systems nominal, Captain. Quantum drive is in standby mode. We're approximately 3.2 light-years from the source of the distress signal. Any communications from the beacon since we arrived? Negative, Captain. The signal continues to broadcast on the emergency frequency, but it's just repeating the same message. Jackson hesitated. Captain, I should note again that we're well beyond our mission parameters. Protocol suggests. Chen raised a hand, silencing him. I'm aware of protocol, Commander, but that distress signal is using an Earth emergency channel. Someone out here needs our help, and we're the only ones who can respond. The distress signal had appeared suddenly on their scanners during a routine border patrol, a weak but unmistakable cry for help using outdated Earth military encryption. According to all records, no human vessel had ever ventured this far into uncharted space. The signal shouldn't exist, yet there it was. Dr. Reyes, Chen turned to her science officer, any progress on identifying local stellar cartography? Dr. Sophia Reyes, a brilliant astrophysicist whose expertise had earned her a place on the Sentinel's maiden voyage, shook her head. Nothing matches our databases, Captain. Either we're in a region that's never been properly mapped, or our star charts are deliberately incomplete. Chen considered this. Earth's United Coalition had always maintained that humanity had mapped all accessible regions of space. If Reyes was right, someone had been hiding something. Lieutenant Park, Chen addressed her tactical officer, maintain defensive readiness, but keep weapons powered down. We don't want to appear hostile if we encounter anyone. Aye, Captain, Park replied, his fingers dancing across his console to adjust the ship's defensive posture. Captain, the communications officer, Ensign Rivera, suddenly called out, I'm detecting an approaching vessel. It's massive, at least 3 times our size. The main view screen shifted to show what looked like a living mountain of metal emerging from behind a nearby asteroid field. The vessel was unlike anything Chen had ever seen, asymmetrical, with organic-looking protrusions and glowing veins of energy pulsing across its surface. Are they scanning us? Chen asked. Yes, Captain. Very thoroughly, Rivera responded. They're broadcasting. It's in no language I recognize, but the universal translator is attempting to decipher it. After a moment of static, a harsh, metallic voice filled the bridge. Attention, unknown vessel. You have entered Valen Confederation restricted space. Your design configuration and energy signature identify you as human. Power down all systems immediately and prepare to be boarded. Resistance will result in immediate destruction. Chen exchanged glances with Jackson. Humanity had never encountered the Valen Confederation before, at least not officially. Open a channel, Chen ordered. When Rivera nodded, she continued, This is Captain Eliza Chen of the United Earth Ship Sentinel. We detected a distress signal and are conducting a search and rescue operation. We have no hostile intentions toward the Valen Confederation. A pause followed before the alien vessel responded. Human vessel, your presence is prohibited in this sector regardless of stated intentions. The Accords of Solitude explicitly forbid human ships beyond the Orion boundary. Chen frowned. We have no knowledge of these accords. Please clarify. Another pause, longer this time. Then, stand by, human vessel. The bridge crew waited in tense silence. Chen used the opportunity to quietly order Ensign Rivera to record everything and prepare a data package to be quantum transmitted back to Earth Command if things went south. "Captain," Dr. Rice whispered urgently, "I'm detecting unusual energy readings from their vessel. They seem to be activating some kind of weapon system." Before Chen could respond, the view screen flickered, and the image of an alien appeared. It was humanoid but clearly not human. Its skin was a pale blue with a metallic sheen, and its eyes were large, solid white orbs without pupils. When it spoke, its mouth didn't move in sync with its words. "I am Archon Krell of the Valen Confederation. Your ignorance of the Accords is unexpected but irrelevant. Human vessels are forbidden in this space." Chen stood straighter. "Archon Krell, with respect, we're pursuing a human distress signal. Our laws and ethics require us to investigate. We have no quarrel with your Confederation, but we cannot abandon this mission." The alien's expression remained unreadable. A human distress signal in this sector would be impossible. No human vessel has been permitted beyond the Orion boundary in over 200 of your Earth years. Chen felt a chill run down her spine. 200 years. Humanity had only achieved interstellar travel 70 years ago. "I can transmit the signal for your verification," Chen offered, motioning for Rivera to prepare the data. "Unnecessary," Krell responded. "This is clearly a malfunction in your primitive systems, or perhaps a deliberate provocation. The Architect's directive is absolute. Humanity must remain contained within its designated spatial boundaries." Chen's mind raced. Architects, directives, designated boundaries. Everything about this encounter suggested humanity had been kept in the dark about its place in the galaxy. "With respect, Archon," Chen replied carefully, "Earth has no knowledge of these architects or their directives. If there has been some diplomatic arrangement made in the past, we should discuss it properly. Perhaps we could meet." "There is nothing to discuss," Krell interrupted. "The architects determined that humanity was not yet ready for integration. The Valen Confederation merely enforces their wisdom. You will power down your vessel immediately." Lieutenant Park spoke quietly. "Captain, they're targeting us with multiple weapon systems. Readings suggest energy capabilities far beyond our own." Chen made a swift decision. "Archon Krell, we need time to consider your demands. We request 1 hour to confer among our command staff." The alien seemed to consider this. "You have 30 minutes of your Earth time to comply. After that, we will take action." The transmission ended abruptly. Chen immediately turned to her crew. "Options, people. Quickly." "We could try to outrun them," Park suggested. "The quantum drive can be ready in 15 minutes. "And go where?" Jackson countered. "We don't know what else is out here, and we still haven't located the source of the distress signal." Dr. Reyes had been quiet, analyzing data on her station. "Captain, I've been reviewing the sensor logs from when we first arrived. I believe I've located the distress signal's origin point. It's coming from a small planetoid approximately 0.8 light-years from our position. Can we reach it without using the quantum drive?" "Conventional engines would take days," Rice replied. Chen rubbed her temple. "And the Valen ship can certainly catch us before then." "Captain," Rivera interjected, "I've been analyzing the communication patterns from the Valen vessel. There's something odd. They're transmitting large data packets to somewhere else, not just communicating with us." "They're reporting to their superiors," Jackson suggested. "Or they're lying," Chen said suddenly. "Lieutenant Park, perform a deep scan of that Valen ship. Full spectrum analysis." Park looked surprised but complied. After a moment, he looked up, eyes wide. "Captain, the ship's power signature doesn't match its apparent size. It's mostly hollow, and I'm detecting less than 50 life forms aboard a vessel that should house thousands." "It's a bluff," Chen realized. "A show of force, but they don't have the firepower they want us to think they do." "Or a trap," Jackson warned. Chen considered the situation. Someone was lying. Either these Valen about their capabilities, or Earth's government about humanity's place in the galaxy. And somewhere nearby, a human distress signal continued to broadcast. Helm, plot a course to the source of the distress signal, Chen ordered. Lieutenant Park, prepare defensive countermeasures, but do not power weapons unless I give the order. Dr. Reyes, I want everything you can tell me about that planetoid. Captain. Jackson looked concerned. What are you planning? Chen's expression was resolute. We're going to find out who's been keeping secrets, Commander. And we're going to help whoever sent that distress call. That's our mission. As the Sentinel's engines hummed to life, Chen couldn't shake the feeling that everything humanity thought it knew about its place in the universe was about to change forever. Ancient warning. The Sentinel accelerated toward the planetoid, leaving the Valen vessel scrambling to follow. Captain Chen had gambled that their bluff about superior firepower was exactly that, a bluff. And now, they were racing toward the source of the mysterious distress signal. The Valen ship is pursuing, Captain. Lieutenant Park reported from Tactical. They're charging weapons, but they're still out of effective range. Chen nodded, keeping her expression neutral for the crew's benefit. Maintain course and speed. Dr. Reyes, what can you tell me about our destination? Dr. Reyes studied her console intently. The planetoid is approximately 340 kilometers in diameter, composed primarily of silicate rock with heavy metal deposits. Surface temperature is -200 Celsius. No atmosphere. But, she frowned, I'm detecting artificial structures on the surface. What kind of structures? Unknown, Captain. They don't match any known architectural style in our database. However, the energy signature powering the distress signal is emanating from the largest structure, some kind of facility built into a crater. Commander Jackson moved to stand beside Chen's command chair. This doesn't make sense, Captain. If human ships haven't been allowed in this sector for centuries, who built a facility that broadcasts on Earth emergency frequencies? That's what we're going to find out, Chen replied. Helm, take us into orbit around the planetoid. Lieutenant Park, prepare a landing team. Full environmental suits and armed escort. You're going down there? Jackson asked, concerned. Chen nodded. Whatever's broadcasting that signal has answers we need. Captain, Rivera interrupted. Incoming transmission from the Valen vessel. On screen. Archon Krell's alien face appeared, showing what Chen interpreted as agitation despite the creature's foreign features. Captain Chen, you must cease your approach to the Forbidden Zone immediately. The planetoid is under quarantine by order of the Architects. We're responding to a distress call, Archon. Chen replied evenly. If someone needs assistance, we're obligated to provide it. Your ignorance places you in grave danger, Krell insisted. That facility is sealed for the protection of all life in this sector. It contains technology and information that your species is not prepared to encounter. Chen leaned forward. Then perhaps you should tell me what we're dealing with instead of making threats. The alien seemed to hesitate. The facility was an Architect research station. It was abandoned and sealed when their civilization transcended physical form. The quarantine has remained in place for over 50,000 of your Earth years. Then how is it broadcasting a human distress signal? Chen pressed. It should not be possible, Krell admitted. The signal must be a malfunction or a trap. Or someone's inside who needs help, Chen countered. Either way, we're going to investigate. Then we will be forced to open fire on your vessel, Krell threatened. Chen raised an eyebrow. With your vastly superior weapons, strange that you haven't used them already, Archon. Almost as if you're not as powerful as you want us to believe. The alien's expression shifted subtly, confirming Chen's suspicion. We will be making planetfall in 20 minutes, Chen continued. You're welcome to join us if you're concerned about what we might find. Perhaps we can help each other understand what's happening here. After a long pause, Krell responded, I will lead a delegation to the surface. But be warned, Captain Chen. If you attempt to claim or activate Architect technology, we will be forced to take extreme measures. The transmission ended. "Well played, Captain," Jackson murmured. "We'll see," Chen replied, not entirely confident in her gambit. "Commander, you have the bridge. I'll lead the landing party with Dr. Rice, Lieutenant Park, and a security detail." 30 minutes later, the Sentinel shuttle touched down on the planetoid surface, kicking up clouds of frozen dust that quickly settled in the minimal gravity. Through her helmet visor, Chen surveyed the alien landscape, a barren, crater-pocked terrain stretching toward a horizon that seemed too close. Approximately half a kilometer away stood what could only be described as an alien cathedral, a massive structure of dark, reflective material that seemed to absorb rather than reflect light, with spires that twisted in geometrically impossible ways. Life support systems functioning normally, Park reported as the team conducted equipment checks. Radiation levels within acceptable parameters. "The distress signal is coming from inside that structure," Dr. Rice confirmed, studying her handheld scanner. "And there's something else. Some kind of energy signature I've never seen before." "Hostile?" Chen asked. "Unknown. It's not like anything in our database." A flash of light announced the arrival of the Valen shuttle, which settled onto the surface about 100 meters away. 3 figures emerged, wearing what appeared to be sleek environmental suits that moved like a second skin. Chen's team approached cautiously, weapons lowered but ready. Through her comm system, she opened a channel. "Archon Krell, thank you for joining us." The lead figure nodded, its helmet clearing to reveal Krell's alien features. "Your recklessness leaves us little choice, Captain Chen. Or perhaps curiosity," Chen suggested. "I sense you've never been here either." "The Architect's facilities are forbidden to all," Krell admitted. "We merely enforce their edicts." "Yet someone has accessed this one," Chen pointed out. "Let's find out who." Together, the two groups approached the imposing structure. As they drew closer, Chen could see intricate patterns etched into its surface, symbols and designs that seemed to shift and change as she looked at them, as if they existed in more dimensions than her mind could process. "These markings," Dr. Rice whispered, awe evident in her voice. "They appear to be some kind of mathematical language, incredibly complex." "Do not touch anything," Krell warned. "Architect technology responds to neural patterns. Even accidental activation could be catastrophic." They reached what appeared to be an entrance, a tall triangular opening that pulsed with a soft blue light. No door was visible, just a barrier of energy that rippled like water. "How do we get through?" Chen asked. Krell produced a small device from his suit. "This contains Valen authorization codes," it showed. Before he could finish, the energy barrier flickered and vanished. "It recognized us?" Chen asked, surprised. "No," Krell replied, his tone concerned. "Someone inside deactivated it." The interior of the structure defied conventional architecture. Corridors twisted at impossible angles. Rooms seemed larger inside than their external dimensions should allow, and everything was illuminated by a soft, ambient light that had no discernible source. The walls were covered in the same shifting symbols they had seen outside. Dr. Rice was recording everything with her scanner. "Captain, these symbols, they're changing in response to our presence. I think the facility itself is alive in some way, or at least sentient." "The architects merged technology and consciousness," Krell explained reluctantly. "Their creations were extensions of their will." "Then why abandon them?" Chen asked. "When they transcended physical form, they left these remnants behind. Too dangerous to destroy, too valuable to leave unguarded." They continued deeper into the facility, following the strengthening distress signal. The corridors gradually became more Earth-like in design, as if the structure was adapting to their expectations. "This doesn't make sense," one of Krell's companions said. "The facility shouldn't be able to reconfigure itself without architect direction." "Unless someone else has taken control," Chen suggested. They entered a vast chamber that appeared to be some kind of control center. Consoles lined the walls, displaying information in the same shifting symbols they had seen throughout the facility. In the center stood a column of swirling energy, pulsing in rhythm like a heartbeat. And before it stood a human figure. "Welcome, Captain Chen," the figure said, turning to face them. It was an elderly man, though his eyes were sharp and clear. He wore what appeared to be an ancient Earth military uniform, one that hadn't been used in over a century. "I've been waiting a very long time for someone to answer my call." "Who are you?" Chen demanded, her hand instinctively moving toward her weapon. "Admiral Thomas Beckett, Earth Defense Force." The man smiled sadly. "Or at least, what's left of him." "Impossible," Krell interrupted. "No human has entered this sector in centuries. 217 years, to be precise," Beckett corrected. "Since the Battle of Proxima Centauri, when humanity first encountered the Valen. When we learned the truth about our place in the galaxy." Chen looked between Beckett and Krell, confusion evident on her face. "What truth? Earth has no record of any battle at Proxima Centauri or of meeting the Valen before today." "Of course you don't," Beckett said bitterly, "because they removed it from our history. They quarantined us, contained us, and then made us forget we were ever contained." "The Accords of Solitude were necessary," Krell insisted. "Your species was not ready." "Not ready," Beckett laughed harshly. "Or too ready. Too dangerous to the status quo." "What exactly happened?" Chen pressed. Beckett gestured toward the column of energy. "This is an architect repository, a database containing their knowledge and technology. 2 centuries ago, an Earth exploration mission discovered it by accident. When we began to access its information, the Valen intervened, claiming we were violating architect directives." "You were," Krell interjected. "Humanity was not designated as an inheritor species." "So says the Valen interpretation," Beckett countered. "But the architects left no such designation. They left their knowledge for whoever could use it wisely." "And the battle?" Chen asked. "Brief and one-sided," Beckett admitted. "Earth's forces were overwhelmed. In the aftermath, the Valen Confederation, claiming to speak for all advanced species, imposed the Accords of Solitude on humanity. Earth was quarantined, our borders defined and enforced. And to prevent rebellion, they used architect technology to alter our historical records. They made us forget we weren't alone." "That's impossible," Chen whispered, though she was beginning to wonder. "Is it?" Beckett approached one of the consoles and activated a display that showed images of Earth, charts of human neural patterns, and what appeared to be a technological schema. "The architects perfected memory manipulation technologies millennia ago. The Valen merely repurposed them." "It was for your protection," Krell insisted. "Humanity wasn't ready to join the galactic community. You were too aggressive, too expansionist." "Or too innovative," Beckett countered. "Too likely to disrupt the comfortable hierarchy the Valen had established using architect technology they'd barely understand." Chen's mind was reeling. "But you remember." "How?" "I was here when it happened," Beckett explained, "leading the expedition that found this facility. When the Valen attacked, I was inside, connected to the repository. It protected me, in a way, preserved my consciousness while my physical body aged and died. I've been here ever since, learning, waiting." "Waiting for what?" Chen asked. "For humanity to develop technology the Valen couldn't detect or intercept. Like your quantum fold drive." Beckett smiled. "I've been watching Earth's progress through the repository systems. When I detected your ship crossing the boundary, I activated the distress signal." "This human has interfaced with architect systems for over 2 centuries," Krell said, alarmed. "The contamination risk is extreme. This facility must be purged." "It's too late for that," Beckett said calmly. "Captain Chen, you need to understand what's really happening here. The architects didn't just leave. They were running from something. Something that's about to return." A deep rumble shook the facility, dust falling from the ceiling. "What was that?" Park demanded, raising his weapon. The real reason the architects quarantined this sector, Beckett said grimly. The reason they left warnings no one heeded. The Void Eaters are awakening. Void Eaters, Chen repeated. The facility trembled again, more violently this time. Consoles began flashing with urgent symbols. Captain, Dr. Reyes called out, studying her scanner. I'm detecting massive energy surges throughout the planetoid. Something's happening beneath the surface. The containment systems are failing, Beckett explained urgently. They were designed to last 50,000 years, and that time is up. The architects sealed the Void Eaters away, hoping future civilizations would be advanced enough to deal with them permanently when they awoke. What exactly are these Void Eaters? Chen demanded. Energy parasites, Beckett replied. Entities that consume stars, planets, entire systems. The architects couldn't destroy them, only contain them. And now they're waking up. The facility shook again, sections of ceiling beginning to collapse. We need to evacuate, Chen ordered. Wait, Beckett said, moving to a console. You need the architect's research on the Void Eaters. Without it, you'll have no way to fight them. He began rapidly inputting commands. Captain, Park warned, structural integrity of this facility is failing. We need to leave now. Chen made a quick decision. Dr. Reyes, help Admiral Beckett. Download whatever data you can. Everyone else, prepare for immediate evacuation. As Reyes and Beckett worked frantically at the console, the facility continued to shake. Parts of the wall began to fragment, revealing a pulsing darkness beneath. It's breaking through, Krell said, genuine fear in his voice for the first time. Chen looked at the fracturing wall, seeing not just darkness but something moving within it, something that seemed to devour light itself. Got it, Reyes announced, holding up her datapad. I've downloaded the core files. Let's move, Chen ordered. As they ran toward the exit, the darkness behind them seemed to flow like liquid, consuming everything it touched. The straight corridors they had navigated earlier now twisted confusingly, as if the facility itself was panicking. The structure is reconfiguring, Krell shouted. It's trying to contain the breach. They reached the entrance just as the facility began to collapse in on itself. Racing across the planetoid's surface to their vessels, Chen looked back to see the once magnificent structure being consumed by a spreading pool of absolute darkness. Get to your ship, Chen told Krell as they reached their shuttles. We need to retreat to safe distance and assess what we've learned. For once, the Valen didn't argue. As the Sentinel shuttle lifted off, Dr. Rice studied her scanner with growing horror. Captain, the darkness is spreading across the planetoid surface. At this rate, the entire body will be consumed within hours. Chen watched through the viewport as the darkness expanded, feeling a deep dread settle in her stomach. Whatever humanity's true history might be, its future had just become far more complicated and potentially very short. Alliance forged. The Sentinel hung in space at a safe distance, its sensors trained on the planetoid as darkness consumed it bit by bit. On the bridge, Captain Chen had assembled her senior staff along with their unexpected guests, Archon Krell and his two Valen associates, and the consciousness of Admiral Beckett. Now housed in a portable holographic projector Dr. Reyes had jury-rigged from Sentinel technology. The situation is grave, Beckett's holographic form stated. The Void Eaters are awakening ahead of the Architect's predictions. Once they fully manifest, they'll begin consuming energy from nearby stars and planets. How do we stop them? Chen asked directly. Beckett's projection flickered. The Architects developed containment technologies, but not weapons capable of destroying the entities permanently. They hoped future civilizations would advance beyond their own capabilities. Convenient, Commander Jackson muttered. The Architects were arrogant, Krell agreed, surprising everyone with his criticism. They created wonders beyond imagining, but when faced with problems they couldn't solve, they simply left. Chen studied the Valen leader. Since their escape from the planetoid, Krell had been unusually subdued, as if the encounter had shaken his worldview. Arch and Krell, did the Valen Confederation know about the Void Eaters? Krell's pale eyes fixed on Chen. We knew the architects had sealed away a threat in this sector. The specifics were lost to time, or perhaps deliberately obscured. Our mandate was simply to enforce the quarantine, by keeping humanity isolated, Chen noted. Among other species, yes, Krell admitted. The architects designated certain regions as prohibited and certain young species as requiring containment until they reached appropriate technological and philosophical maturity. And who decided when we had reached this maturity? Chen pressed. The Confederation Council interpreted the architects' guidelines, Krell said. But in truth, there was little incentive to ever declare a contained species ready. Emerging civilizations represent complications, competition, politics. Chen concluded. You kept us in the dark for political convenience. A simplified view, but not entirely inaccurate, Krell conceded. Dr. Reyes had been analyzing the data retrieved from the architect facility. Captain, according to these files, the Void Eaters aren't just energy parasites. They're sentient. They consume stars not just for sustenance, but to grow their collective consciousness. How many are there? Park asked. Unknown, Beckett's hologram answered. The architects encountered only a handful originally, but they reproduce by division once they've consumed sufficient energy. Which means the longer they feed, the more numerous they become, Chen realized. Precisely, Beckett confirmed. And once they've consumed this planetoid, they'll target the nearest star system. Which is? Chen asked. The Valen colony of Catharoon, Krell said quietly. Population 16 million. The bridge fell silent as the implications sank in. How much time do we have before they reach Catharoon? Chen finally asked. At their current consumption rate, Dr. Rice calculated, approximately 72 hours. Once they've devoured the planetoid completely, they'll move through space at near-light speed. We need to evacuate the colony, Chen stated. Impossible, one of Krell's associates spoke up. Catharoon is our oldest colony world. Most of its population is immobile, connected to the planetary network. Evacuation would take weeks. Then we need to find a way to stop these entities, Chen said firmly. Dr. Rice, Admiral Beckett, do the architect files contain any information that might help us fight them? The architects attempted various energy weapons, Beckett replied. But the Void Eaters simply absorbed the energy and grew stronger. Physical barriers were temporary at best. The only effective approach was to create a specialized containment field that the entities couldn't consume, a field that existed partially outside normal spacetime, like our quantum fold technology, Chen realized. Similar in principle, Beckett agreed. Your quantum drive creates a bubble of altered spacetime around your vessel. The architects used comparable principles to contain the Void Eaters, but on a much larger scale. Could we adapt our technology to create a new containment field? Chen asked. Dr. Rice looked thoughtful. Possibly, Captain. The quantum drive generates a field that allows us to fold space and move through it. Theoretically, we could modify it to create a static field instead, like a cage rather than a vehicle. But we'd need to massively amplify the output, the ship's engineer, Lieutenant Commander Okafor, pointed out. The drive was designed to envelop just our ship, not an entire planetoid worth of these entities. The Valen have amplification technology, Krell offered unexpectedly. Our vessels use quantum resonators that could potentially boost your drive's output. Chen studied Krell carefully. You'd share your technology with us. After centuries of keeping humanity contained. The situation has changed, Captain, Krell replied gravely. If these Void Eaters cannot be stopped, all our civilizations are at risk. Old policies must be reconsidered in light of new threats. A pragmatic approach, Chen acknowledged, but not one I expected from you, Arkin. The architect's warning was clear, Krell said. They believed diverse perspectives would be needed to counter the Void Eaters. Perhaps keeping species isolated was counterproductive to their ultimate goal. A convenient realization when you need our help, Jackson commented skeptically. Indeed, Krell admitted, but true nonetheless. Chen made her decision. Commander Okafor, work with the Valen to modify our quantum drive. Dr. Reyes, continue analyzing the architect data for anything else that might help us. Admiral Beckett. She paused, looking at the hologram of a man who had waited centuries for this moment. You've been monitoring Earth's progress from that facility. What weaknesses do you see in the Sentinel that might prevent this plan from working? Beckett's holographic face showed surprise at the direct question. The quantum fold drive wasn't designed for sustained operation. Modifying it to create a static field will generate enormous heat. Your cooling systems won't be adequate. That confirms my own assessment, Okafor nodded. We'd burn out the drive after approximately 10 minutes at the output levels we'd need. 10 minutes won't be enough. Chen frowned. We need a permanent solution, or at least one that lasts long enough to evacuate Ketherun and develop a better approach. I have a suggestion, Beckett said after a moment. My consciousness is currently housed in your holographic projector, but I existed within the architect system for centuries. I could potentially interface with your modified quantum drive, guiding its operation with precision beyond what your automated systems could achieve. You're proposing to merge with our ship? Chen asked. In a manner of speaking, Beckett confirmed. The architects developed technologies that blurred the line between consciousness and machinery. I've learned to navigate those boundaries. It's risky, Dr. Rice cautioned. We don't fully understand the nature of Admiral Beckett's current existence. Nor do I, Beckett admitted. But I've waited 2 centuries to help humanity reclaim its place among the stars. This may be my last opportunity to serve. Chen considered the proposal thoughtfully. Let's keep that as a backup plan. First, let's see what we can accomplish with conventional modifications. The next 24 hours were a flurry of activity as the Sentinel's engineering team worked alongside Valen technicians. The ship's quantum drive was partially disassembled, its components reconfigured to project a static field rather than propel the vessel. Valen quantum resonators were integrated into the system, dramatically amplifying its potential output. Meanwhile, the darkness continued to spread across the planetoid.